Enterprise Digital Podcast with Ian and Barclay Ray, navigating the ever-expanding service management maze.
Hello and welcome to the Enterprise Digital Podcast. I think we're on episode 35/9/120. I think we're on 100.
Yeah, I was just thinking 120.
I am Barclay Ray still, and I am joined once more by Ian Aitchison. I'm looking bright and chipper and cheerful. Ian, how are you doing?
I may look bright and chipper and cheerful. I don't feel it. I had a terrible night's sleep last night, but there we are. It happens sometimes. So the makeup works miracles.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I look like shit, but I had a great night's sleep. Anyway, we are here for the Enterprise Digital Podcast, and we're going to have a quick chat really today about all sorts of stuff, but really about it's coming up to conference and event season, so we'll do that in a second. But before we do that, we always kick off with some fascinations. Ian and his fascinator of trivia.
Yes.
The fascinating facts of trivia from Ian Aitchison. What do you have this week, Ian?
Well, just to ease us into the main topics, I always try and bring something interesting to the party, and I'm always...
You do try. I mean,
try. I don't always succeed. I am a big fan of international competition of any sort, and I read with enormous interest something that I'm sure everybody else is well aware of as well, which is the UK recently beat the US in a very important topic. I don't know if you saw this one, Barclay, but very exciting good news that just recently it was announced that two twins in the UK have recently broken two world records previously held by the US, so now held by the UK, for the world's largest and the world's heaviest pumpkin. So I can tell you that Ian and Stuart Patton, and interestingly, that's my first name and my middle name, so that's strange, isn't it? Ian and Stuart, from Lymington in Hampshire, have been growing giant pumpkins for over 50 years. And this was pretty much their last attempt to see if they could win the recognition of the largest ever grown. Drinking 130 gallons of water a day. It's 131 days old and currently weighs around about 1,247 kilograms or 2,749 pounds. It looks horrible. It's a big misshapen giant lump. But it's very exciting for Stuart, who had decided to retire to spend time with his family. So this quote, "This was my last pumpkin." It's a happy coincidence, really. And Ian, on the other hand, his brother, says he is going to carry on growing and he's going to have a go at the world record for the biggest onion. So there we are. How about that for trivia?
There are some things that are worth chasing in life, I think. And, when you've got a dream, then, by all means, go after it.
Well, congratulations to them both.
Yeah.
A huge achievement, literally. Well,
it really is. And I'm sure it must be feeding many squirrels in Hampshire as we speak. After that fascination, I think we have to just go and lie down for a minute. I think we should stop for a cherry aid and, a Viennese biscuit, perhaps. Okay, our topic today is a brief chat about the conference season, which is on us. There's a couple that I've visited in the last week or two, and there's a few big ones coming up.
You've been around Europe, haven't you? A couple of things recently. You were over in Holland and Denmark, is that right?
I was, yeah. I went to the inaugural SITS Holland event, which was held in Utrecht, in a venue that has been used before, but is a very good one, very accessible and so on, and was really well attended. I must say, it was full. It was nicely sized, diversified. They had a good attendance that felt busy and full all day. And I think the vendors I spoke to were pretty pleased. There was the usual SITS hubbub of it being in
It
a
was
room.
the same sort of theme, was it? The same feel and atmosphere that you have at the UK SIDS event?
Yeah, I mean, it was in a much smaller space, but still a decent sized space. There were probably, well, I don't know, 500 people there, maybe something like that, in a relatively small room. But, there was, I don't know, 40, 50 vendors, something like that. And it was split between itSM or service desk and managed service provider, the MSP part. The MSP part was actually quite big, but most of the vendors you would recognize as being on the service management side. There was a few people selling printing stuff and those things like that. But it was busy. I have to say, it really was busy, and it was very well organized, and there was the usual talks in the room kind of thing, which made it a bit noisy and so on. But they had the headphones, and yeah, I mean, I listened to one or two of these, and there was a good cross section. The usual people talking about AI, and people talking about ITIL, and people talking about service desk, and people talking about human-centered stuff, and experience, and all the good things that were there. So it was very enjoyable. I wanted just to support it because I've been involved with SITS for a long time and just see what it was like. I think there were people signing up on the day as well. So there's obviously the demand in those kind of territories, and it was a very good start.
Really nice. And Utrecht is a place with a great deal of bicycles, if I remember rightly. Did you see that? Huge number of bikes. Everybody's on a bike in Utrecht.
No, I didn't see any at all. I would straight. No, I mean, yeah, I'm like any town in Holland, really.
It's just amazing. Yeah, it's a real to be and could be. Everybody's on the bike. No cars.
It's a lovely little town. It's a nice combination of being, there's a kind of windy bit around the river, which is quite old, with cafes and restaurants, and and then there's the sort of more modern bit around the station where all the sort of business and commercial stuff is, and it's really cool and futuristic and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a really good venue, and I have no doubt that they will be doing it again, and maybe trying to scale it up. And well done to the guys for that.
Yeah, it's great. That's very good. Very positive. And then you travelled on. Where did you go after Utrecht?
I actually came home, and then I went back out again. I went to Denmark, which I know quite well. I went to Copenhagen for what was a new conference, although again, it's something that had been done in different ways before. But it was certainly, I've been to a few conferences in Denmark run usually by consultancies or variants of itSMF, not necessarily itSMF, but that community. And this was the biggest one I'd been to, in a new venue, full again, for 400 plus people. It was split. It was a nice combination because they had IT support, itSM, service desk, and they had customer service or customer, more in the kind of non-IT sense. And so there was the Venn diagram of vendors, and some people attended both. They had a huge plenary, and then they kind of split into two still very large rooms. And I did keynote on is the service desk dead? It's Schrodinger's service desk. Is it alive or dead, or alive and dead at the same time?
And just out of interest, what was your concluding point in your presentation? Is it alive? Is it dead? Is it both?
It's both. It's no, it's very much alive. It's changing, and I think the main point really for me was that was a lot of talk about how do we get the right skills, how do we get the right hybrid skills, combinations of technical and business and people skills and human-centered and all that. And my point is that there's a lot of discussion about that, but it's there already. It's right in front of you that we have the model to develop those skills, because that's what you develop in a service desk. You have to deal with people, business, and technology. And that went down pretty well. I think they'd had a diet of AI is going to kill you or make you all day. And so I was a bit of a change to that. And that was mentioned by the organizers. They were pleased with the outcome of it. So yeah, it was interesting.
Good, excellent. So you have been busy in your travels, and then it is conference season generally. And we have more things coming up, I think, in the next few weeks.
What we do? Well, we have itSMF UK, which we'll come to in a second. But first of all, there's the Service North event, which is run by Claire and her team, and some of the site very much Siam focused. I was looking at trying to attend or participate in that, but it just hasn't fitted for me yet. But every year I say the same: I will go, or I want to go.
Come and guest on our podcast again. She was great last time.
Yeah, and I've been meaning to do that, but maybe we'll get her on sooner, because I was working in York recently, and I literally bumped into her at the street, or I was coming out of I was walking past the restaurant, and she and Dave, her husband, were in the restaurant, and they came out and shouted. It's bizarre, but yeah, it's definitely a good. It's good that there's a variety of events in different locations. There's also one coming up in Scotland as well, or two in Scotland, run by a sort of media company. They have a sort of general IT one in November, and then they have a sort of more service management one in, I think, February, March.
Great.
Around about the time of the SDI Spark show. So there's that. There's also Service Management World over in Florida.
Nice.
The HDI event, which I'm not able to go to, and I'm not sure there's many international participants going to that, but it is what it is. I've been in it a few times, and it's always been, an enjoyable event in terms of meeting with people.
Went there a few years ago. I had a great time. Yeah, it's very good.
Well, you set me up for a game of golf there a few years ago, I seem to remember.
Did I really? I didn't remember that. Yeah, no, that was quite.
The company you were working for at the time were running a golf day, and I saw you in the bar, and then you said you want to participate. I won the competition.
Well done. Well done.
Marine Corps Night won the competition. Anyway, that's what's coming up. I think the big one in the UK really coming up is itSMF.
Yes, we're going to that, aren't we? I think.
Yeah, and looking forward to that as ever. It's probably my 730th of these. Been going really since it started, and it's in a new venue. So the last 3 years they've been in Reading at the stadium, until there, which is going to run out of space. Really, I mean, I think they've made some good decisions on staying there for a while it gets busy and there's more demand, rather than jumping too quickly to a larger venue. But they have gone to a larger venue, which is the Milton Keynes Stadium Centre. So yeah, and looking forward to see what's coming out there. There's obviously a good cross section of talks and sessions, a really good agenda as ever, and it's always a great place to kind of catch up with people and with the awards, all that sort of stuff. When did you last go to that event, Ian?
I'm going to say 2 years ago, I think it was. It was at Reading. And very good. Yeah. Very good one. Always enjoy them. As I often comment, it's an interesting contrast with SITS, which is like a fairground, noisy. And then on the flip side of the year, you have things like itSMF, which are a little more, I describe it as academic. It's a little more thoughtful. The sessions tend to be a little more considered. It's a little less whirly gig lights and loud noises and popcorn, and it's more serious discussions and deep thought. I don't know if that's still the case. We shall see. But,
yeah, audience. SETS is a sales convention, basically. That's what it is, and it happens to have the advantage of the free admission and the free sessions that they put on. But that's first come, first serve. This is a conference first and foremost with a exhibition going on, but it's not really a sales focused one. But I mean, there's a few things to pull out. I think we're delighted to see that Roy Atkinson's coming across.
Very good.
I look forward to catching up with Roy. There's a few of the vital people search sessions, as you would expect. Lots of other stuff there as well around about, things like, well, there's a few bits on AI, but there's also lots of stuff on the human side, on XLA, on Siam. There's quite a cross section of content right across the board. Doug Rabel's coming across. There's lots of Steve and I are talking about the target operating model, bringing all that together. There's stuff about shift left. And we've got some people from some good organizations, IKEA, Ministry of Defense, Fujitsu, Morrison's. There's a very strong sense of cool across the agenda. So yeah, looking forward to that. And obviously the social side of it, catching up with people as well. So we will. There's a session called "Are You Willing to Risk Jail Because of Shadow AI?" And Dean Bernista. No idea. But
I have a blog article coming out shortly through itSMF tools, which references that explosion of AI, creating AI tools very easily. We talked about this vibe coding and so on, but how that will lead to huge exposure to risk by people that are in non-technical functions, just learning you can build these things and share them. So yeah, it's a real interesting area. It could be a real concern. I just think it's fascinating. Something really interesting to observe how we navigate through that.
Well, that is interesting, and it is concerning. I mean, I had a conversation with a CIO client this week, a very good one, where it occurred to me that we've been talking for some time, and the A and I word hadn't come up, and I'd said, what's happening with that. I'd also previously just had a conversation with his CISO, and again, it was a good consistent message on we're not ready for it in a number of areas, and there's too much risk. And the organization has a huge breadth of things where there's a lot of high risk. So, they're going to look at it, but they're going to get other stuff right first. And I thought that was very, very positive. Also good to see Val Wilson from BT is speaking. Val's, a great leader and a great speaker. So looking forward to that. Yeah, there's lots happening.
Excellent. Another bit of minor trivia. You went to Utrecht and Copenhagen. I've been to both of those cities in the last year. I've never been to Milton Keynes. How about that? I've never been to Milton Keynes, but I have been to Utrecht and I have been to Copenhagen. So I'm looking forward to ticking Milton Keynes off my list. I can't believe I've never been, but I can't think of a time.
I'm not sure there's many people have it on their bucket list.
It's the best. That's right.
That's how
I hear it's lovely.
the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, Milton Keynes.
Looking forward to it.
Milton Keynes has been a strong, but what's the word? I don't know how to describe it. It's been in my life for about 35 years, one way or another. Company I worked for was headquartered there, as I used to go there even when I lived in Scotland. And I've had loads of clients there. It is what it is. It's a new town. It's lots of roundabouts.
Built in the 1950s, was it?
50s and 60s, yeah. I mean, what's annoying is that there is a grid system, so you can kind of be orientated, but then it breaks up and you lose your complete sense of direction. But yeah, it's a new town. It feels, in many cases, it does feel like a US town because it's got the malls.
Very structured, very deliberately designed rather than organically grown.
Yeah, not at all. Probably won't see much of it because 2 days at a conference, you spend most of that time in a hotel somewhere. Okay, so that's probably all we're going to talk about, unless you want to add anything else about pumpkins.
No, I don't think so. I think that was a very interesting talk through what's been going on and what's coming up. So very good.
All right. Well, thank you for that. We will see you again soon. Next time we've got guests on, we're going to be talking some ITIL stuff. I'm sure you'll have seen some of that, but there's more to come and more guests to come over the winter season. So we look forward to that. We'll see you again on the Enterprise Digital Podcast.
Thank you.